the man, the myth, the legend. We bring on Angelo Cataldi right now. Angelo Cataldi doing weekends. I would die to see that.
There's no money on the weekends. And it's all about advertising. On the weekends, there's nobody in their car listening to sports radio. So there's no money.
And hey, after 6 and on weekends, don't call me.
No, only place I ever worked for free was with Dan.
I'm hoping that's a Paisan thing here.
No,
Angelo.
I just love what you say, man. You're telling it straight.
Angelo, you made a point here, and you know what? Why is it so that the organization and the owner get upset with Hurts? Well, first, I don't want to pollute the question. What was your takeaway from Jalen when asked the question, what's Nick's role? And he goes, I don't know. You'll have to ask him. When you heard that initially, what was your takeaway?
I wanted to stand and give him an ovation. And the fact that the media has reacted this way in our city to a man speaking his truth is an outrage. Do you understand? I wrote about this on my website, angelocatali.com. If you want to read my full text of what I said. You hold a news conference to give your truth. Now, we know better. Most guys don't tell the truth. One example would be Nick Sirianni, who has never told the truth. I talked to him after every Eagle game for the first 3 years that he was Eagles coach, and he never one time gave a frank and honest answer to a question. He gave you a big word salad, a lot of baloney, right? A lot of bull. Whatever would placate his owners and would please his players. That's all he ever said. Jalen Hurts is honest, and he's getting castigated for it in Philadelphia. Let me tell you what's going on here right now, Danny. First, we had an influx of the cicadas, right? Those bugs. Then we had another influx of stink bugs, right? Now we've got a total epidemic of media pussies, all right? All these guys who are unwilling to do their freaking job, which is to ask a question and get a straight, honest answer. And I saw something, and I'm going to name a name here. That's how frustrated I am. Asking, please. He's an apologist. You've been an apologist for the Eagles for. Why do you think he's working weekends now? Because he's an apologist for the team. All right. But John Stolness was a regular on my show. You know why he was? Dan, because he really knew what he was talking about with the Phillies and the Eagles. You could go either way with him. He had it covered. He wrote a piece in bleedinggreennation.com, which is one of the best Eagles websites. Here's how Jalen Hurts should have answered the question so that everyone would be pleased. No, you should be pleased that he gave his honest answer, which is, if you want to read between the lines, I'm not too sure about this coach. No, I'm not. Dan, here's the thing. If you just played the second half of the season in which you got destroyed because your coaches couldn't figure out how to set up a block to prevent them from beating the crap out of you, you're supposed to come on now and go, well, I got to tell you, man, this Nick Sirianni, he's brilliant. What a genius. What an honor it is to play for this guy when 10 times in the playoff game, nobody blocked the blitzer. 10 times. He's supposed to come on now and protect the coach. Bleep that. Thank you, Jalen Hurts, for showing the respect to this city and to those fans to show us some honesty that you're not too sure about the coach, because you shouldn't be.
You know, Angelo, you've been saying this, and it's now being played out. And I said this in the first hour of the program. I go, I don't think Jalen Hurts is lying. I think he's just being transparent. And didn't the owner, once he got off his yacht, say, I want Jalen to be more Jalen?
Yeah.
And I want him. Well, isn't this what we're talking about here? And then they turn around and they're disappointed in it. Why are they protecting the head coach over a $250 million quarterback? Is it really because the owner doesn't want to be looked to me made like a fool, and he's wrong in the hiring or the firing of Doug?
No, yeah, you're right. That this all starts at the ownership level, managing the message. Why is Dan Cilio getting calls from the PR department? Because the fact of the matter is they're trying to manage the message. And Jalen didn't play the game. Actually, the thing is, he kind of did play the game. He just didn't play it hard enough. He didn't lie strongly enough. He kind of supported the coach, but not enough for the people that are out there. Dan, I don't want to get
They
emotional.
want him to lie. I feel they want him to lie, Angelo. They want him to lie.
No, they do. But understand, you had the Bible in your hand a minute ago, right? You had the Bible, right? In the book, I explained what it meant to me when I got a call from Philadelphia to come to this city, the city with the toughest media, the city that sought out the truth at all costs. That's why I came here. I left Rhode Island. Now, I hated Rhode Island anyway. I would have gone somewhere else. But that's beside the point. This was my number one hope, to come to this city, home of the great Ray Dedinger, of the great Stan Hockman, Mark Wicker. These were guys that suffered no fools. And here we sit in 2024, and the media is upset that the quarterback didn't lie enough about the coach. This is a low. This is a milestone moment here, Dan. This is a low of lows that these pussies that are now covering sports in this city want the quarterback to protect the coach. I can't. I want to throw up. I want to throw up.
I can't believe it's gotten to this level, especially in a town and in a city like Philadelphia that reveres the truth as something, and guys are trying to be transparent here. Let me throw this one at you here too, with Howie. I mean, do you think it's possible on what you said a couple weeks ago, where you go, if you're Jalen Hurts, maybe what you said at that press conference was, when you said, I don't know what his role is. Do you like the offense, Jalen? I'll let you know, it's too early yet.
Yep.
Maybe he's telling them, I don't like your bullshit on what's going on and how you're running this thing here. And do you think there was a conversation that he was shocked that Nick was brought back, and that's why there's a little bit of an adversarial conversation going back and forth, and he's not supporting the guy?
That's fascinating. I would like to believe, since
you broached that a couple months ago when you said, I'm pretty soon it's going to get to a point where this guy's going to go, I've had it.
If you're paying a guy $250 million, right, and he's your franchise quarterback, maybe he should be part of that conversation before you make a decision about bringing the coach back. And if so, see, it's hard for me to believe that Hurts would go out on a limb that far and go, this guy can't coach, right? And you saw it as soon as Steichen left. They didn't know what the hell to do. And we started to take on water in the second half of the season, and we couldn't bail out. The coach had nobody had any answers. I don't think it went that far. I don't think they actually consulted him. But I think what he's thinking is the play calling sucked, especially second half, but most of the year it sucked. The coaching was oblivious to what was happening on the field. He saw it. Nobody saw it more than he did. He was running that offense. And now he's looking at it and going, wow, I hope this Kellen Moore gets to do what he's doing. Yeah, the whole thing is, here's the real reality of what's going on offense. They scrapped 95% of what Sirianni was doing with Steichen. They got rid of it because they brought in Brian Johnson. He didn't know what he was doing. So they scrapped it because Hurts himself, in another moment of honesty, went, yeah, 95% of this is new, right? This is new. This is Kellen Moore's offense, right? Whether it works or not, we don't know. We're going to have to see. You don't have Kelsey in the middle anymore. That's going to be a big, big issue. It's going to be a hell of a lot bigger issue than Barkley picking up the blitz. I know you got a good guy back there. He's good. Saquon Barkley's good. But is he going to make up for the loss of Kelsey? I don't know. I have my doubts. But the bottom line is this. When a guy is being honest, not overly honest, just kind of honest, you don't go after him, you thank him. You go, thank you for respecting the fans in this city who've heard enough bullshit over the last 4 years since Sirianni got here. They've heard enough of that. Thank you for not contributing to that propaganda.
How about this, Angelo? You just mentioned it, 95%. And then you have, over the weekend, you have Howard Eskin come out going, no. It's 20%, more than 19% of a new offense. He got that from somebody in the organization to vent that. Why would the organization want to come down on Jalen Hurts and calling him a liar? I mean, Eskin, like you said, he's not going to put his job in jeopardy by barking something like that unless he was given. It's almost like the organization is going out of their way to kind of like put Jalen in his place to make sure. It's like if the quarterback speaks out, we're going to come after, or anybody speaks out. Because I'll give you another example here in a minute. I mean, I found that odd that Howard would come out, the sideline reporter, a guy who's paid by the Eagles, would say, no, Jalen's wrong. It's not a new offense. Yeah. You're basically telling us all then that it's still Nick's offense.
First of all, I mean, is there even any debate over who you want to believe?
Absolutely none.
Who's been bought and paid for by the Eagles for a generation, or Jalen Hurts, who has been more honest as a quarterback than McNabb ever was, more honest than Wentz ever was. Honestly, more honest than Foles. In the short time he was here, the miracle guy. This guy is honest. It's one of the reasons I want him to succeed so badly, because I want to prove that you can answer questions with honesty and still win. Doug Peterson did it for 5 years here. He was the most honest. Dan, I talked to all of them. Doug Peterson would rather be honest and irritate his bosses than lie to the fans. This is gold. This is great when you have a guy like that. And then he won a Super Bowl. And you know what? They're still trying in this city to tell you how great Andy Reid was. Andy Reid was a phony and a liar for 14 years. I was there for all 14 of them. I saw him lie whenever he needed to lie, cover up whenever he needed to cover up. Now he's in Kansas City winning championships because of Mahomes, and he's bringing in one bad act after another. He's got more problems now. He's got a guy with domestic issue. I mean, it's just horrific how that guy got away with what he got away with. Wouldn't have happened if Stan Hockman were here in his prime with all those guys I talked about when I came here in the 80s. Wouldn't have happened. They would have unmasked him the same way they did Norman Brayman, the skinflint owner of the team. That was when we had real journalism in this town. It's long gone, long gone. And what's happening right now has set a new law. A new law. Now, oh my God, tell the truth at a press conference? We can't have that. Let's get them. Oh, it's outrageous. Dan, I am so upset with this story. And the reason I'm upset with it is because our media has reached a point where we don't want the truth.
No, they'd rather be lied to. They'd rather be lied to.
The headline of my piece on my website. The local media are afraid of the truth. They don't want it. You imagine that? What the hell are they there for?
I fight every day for when I'm telling people this stuff. I say this is what I've learned from you, that the Philadelphia Eagles would rather look good losing than look ugly winning. And it's like there's some sort of like disconnect with that when Doug has to answer people's questions about the Green Bay game and why they won up there at Lambeau and stuff. And you're turning around and you're going like, I just don't get why they want so much control. Let people do their jobs, Angelo. It's frustrating because they do a lot of things right. Okay.
Yeah,
But
they
they
do.
do the most important things to
True.
stop from championships.
Yes, you're right. And the thing is, here's what you need to understand about managing the message right now. Jeff Lurie, after owning the team for 30 years, one championship, was so tone deaf about public relations that after the collapse, after getting his ass kicked in Tampa, he went and shot for a yacht. And here's the thing, right? Here's how the world is different. And I'll say it, even though it sounds immodest. If I were here, that yacht would have become a symbol of how tone deaf that man is. And that yacht would have been a story in this city for a month. I would have yelled it and screamed it until somebody else realized that you can't do that if you own a team in Philadelphia that collapsed historically. You can't the next day flaunt your wealth by going out and buying a big yacht. You can't do it. You got to wait. You got to slide it by. You can't pull that in this city if you're being held responsible. But you see now, you're dealing with it on your end right now. The Eagles are the big bully, and they could shut you down. You don't have the power. You can't get away with it anymore. You'll get a call. Your boss will get a call. You get squeezed. Dan, our lonely eyes turn to you, pal. I'm telling you, you're the only one out there right now who's yelling and screaming about this kind of stuff. So why, when you call me, I come on.
You do.
Immediately. I came back from the shore a day early, Dan, to do this.
That's so wonderful.
No, I did it for a reason, because you're right. You're hitting the points that need to be hit, and somebody's got to do it, damn it. Because the media in this city, I'll say it again, I couldn't use this word on my own show. Bunch of pussies.
Yeah.
I'll exclude one. Rhea Hughes, she knows.
Okay.
But everyone else, I'll exclude no one else. Bunch of pussies. Not doing their job anymore, trying to curry the favor of the big sport in the town, and kissing the ass of an owner and a general manager who won one championship in 30 years.
Couple last questions for you, Angelo. Thank you so much for all that. That's so kind. I got to throw this at you here. So Marcus Hayes and a couple other people are now reporting this with Reddick, that one of the reasons that Reddick is not on the team, whether he should be here or not here, money-wise, contract, what have you, okay. But here's what happened from what we're being told. There's a guy in the building that went to the University of Miami, I know very well, said this. At the last year, if you remember correctly, Nick Sirianni went over to Reddick on the sidelines and got in his face a little bit. Then Reddick had a conversation with a reporter. Hey, I only do what the front office wants. Well, supposedly they got, according to Marcus Hayes as well, they went into Nick's office and they had a pretty heated exchange. Well, in the process of all that, Nick and Howie did not want that to be part. Vic Fangio said, I'll make it work without him. They move him out of the building because they didn't want to have that dialect going on between the coach and the player, even though that coach had nothing to do with that player's success of what he did in 22. He's had 30 sacks in the last 2 years, and you walked him out of the building because you didn't like how he was being used by dropping him in coverage instead of rushing the passer. I mean, if that's not any more, you don't throw players off your roster because you tell the coach, don't drop me in coverage. I can't do it. I'm a pass rusher. And you drop him in coverage anyway, and you end up 31st in pass defense. He was right. Maybe he didn't do it the right way, Angelo, but at the end of the day, do you get rid of a guy who was your best defensive player?
No, you don't. And if I were running the team and it came down to whether I'm going to keep a coach who had no answers at the end of the last year, but I don't want to make it look bad for the organization because he did win a lot of games, right? Oh no, I'm going to keep that coach, and I'm going to let my best defensive player leave, a local kid who's doing a terrific job and had lesser of a season this past year because he was used wrong. Anyone who knows any football knows that. Yeah, he was used wrong. He was. When you're dropping your best pass rusher into coverage, you're an idiot. All right.
And when you're getting no pressure,
you can't get any pressure on the other team's quarterback. And the one guy can You're dropping them out to cover pass tight ends. Are you out of your freaking mind? That's how stupid the coaching was last year. And you're going to get rid of the guy because, oh, he's a squeaky wheel. Oh, no, you don't want him on the team. He'll be bad for morale. Let's get rid of that guy and let's keep the coach. We'll give him no power. Had no power on any team now. Not an offensive coordinator, not defensive, not special team. All the analytics decide what the strategy is. Let's just put him on a sideline. Let's put him there and let's get rid of Hassan Reddick. Disgraceful. It's outrageous. It tells you they're lost. It tells you why. And it's horrible to say this. Dan, I never want to be more wrong than this. The team's not going anywhere this year. Do you understand? They lost Reddick. They lost Cox. They lost Kelsey. They lost the core of leadership on the team, but you kept the coach. It's not going to happen I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings. 5 wins.
Nostradamus.
No.
Hey, Angel, let's do this here, though, for what you just said. You know, and I brought it up to people. I'm like, so wait a minute. You kept the cancer in the locker room, and the stuff is still rearing its head in the off season. And somebody asked me, and they go, Sills, it's June 17th. I'm like, dude, you validate what you do in the off season in the fall. That's when you validate it. Every step you make, correcting the meltdown, correcting a covering of Jurgens in there for Kelsey. You correct your mistakes in the offseason, validate them in the fall. I don't see them correcting that mistake of leadership when it comes to the head coach. And how much of a problem do you think this rears its head between the quarterback and the head coach and some of the disconnect?
That's a great question. Because if what I'm thinking is going to happen is true, by the middle of the season, under 500, Hurts is going to make it clear that he doesn't have any faith in the coach. And you already saw the beginning of that with what happened over the past week. And you know what? Thank you, Hurts, for respecting us enough to give us insight in there, because he will not protect the coach. What you saw last week was an indication he's not going to protect him.
No,
right?
He was teed up for it, Angelo.
He already did that last year. He didn't say anything last year when he was getting his ass kicked. He's not going to do it another year. You know why? He's a coach's son. He knows the game. And he's not going to protect this guy forever. And if it means that he's going to cause a problem with his bosses, too bad. You know what? Good. Get rid of me. Let me go somewhere where I could fit in better than I am with this idiot coach. I have never been a bigger fan of Hurts for being partially honest in his answer to the questions the way they were phrasing this stuff. Dan, they were phrasing the questions about Sirianni in a way that was like, wow, it's like Sirianni and Kellen Winslow. Tell me how great that's working.
They were softball questions.
Right. Tell me, Kellen Moore. I'm sorry. Tell me how great these guys are working together.
It was like T-ball. They were T-ball questions.
Like, they're not even phrasing it in a way that the guy can be honest.
It was like the PR department gave them questions to ask Jalen, and when Jalen didn't give the answers they wanted to hear, Angelo, you can't be any more than this. Hey, what's Nick Sirianni's role? You know, that's a good question. I don't know. You'll have to ask him. I've never heard that. I've never heard that.
Here's the question. You want to ask the right question? Not what Stallman said. Find a new way to kiss Sirianni's ass. The question is, now that Sirianni is not the coordinator, now that he's out of the picture somewhat, now that 95% of the offense is new, how's Kellen Moore doing? How's he doing? Do you feel pretty good about what he's putting in?
Did you hear what he said? Angelo, he goes like this. How do you like the offense now? He goes, it's too early to tell.
It is. He's right. That's the right answer. That's the right answer. And then next, I'll say it again, Dan, watch those preseason games. If Hurts is not on the field for any of that's coming from above, because Sirianni is trying to save his job right now. He'd put him on the field. He'd have to. He's not that stupid. He'd have
My
to put them
God,
on the field.
Angelo.
If they're not on the field, if none of the starters are playing in the preseason, that's being dictated from Lurie and Roseman. And doom will soon set in. You can bet on it.
Angelo, I don't know how you survived
Uh,
all those great years. Well, I do.
No.
Talent,
I'm going to tell you, Dan.
talent, advertisers, and people believing, and the fans, the great fans that you write about in your book here. It's how
I
you
may
survived.
move back to Rhode Island. I think it's time to move back to my home state.
They got good beaches.
And my last days, I will while away in a state I can't stand. But I can't stand this either.
I heard a guy in the afternoon go like this on WIP, a station like WFAN. There's very few stations in the country that you built that help you help put the building blocks of sports talk radio in this country. I heard a guy say this, boy, I tell you what, I'm really starting to feel a little bad for the coach because he's looking like he's the whipping dog. And I'm like, I've never heard a talk show host go, I feel bad for a coach who's a whipping dog for having an implosion that reminded me of 3 Mile Island. I mean, it's just, it doesn't make sense how you cover teams today.
You don't understand what it's like for me right now.
Oh, no, I get it. That's not
Phillies are home tonight. The Phillies are home tonight. And Trey Turner's coming back from 6 weeks off, right? With some injury, pull something.
Yep.
Standing ovation again? I'll pull my hair up. See this hair again? I'll yank it out if that happens tonight. I'm bracing myself for the next indignity. Because what happened last week with Hurts and the media's reaction, and by the way, you mentioned Marcus Hayes. Believe him, he's the one guy who has not bought and paid for. He's the one guy. The only guy I could say, although Jeff McClain, he's a journalist. He's real, all right? The rest of the guys, bunch of ass kissers.
You know why I like Jeff McClain?
You're a bunch of pussies, guys. I'll say it straight to you. You're a bunch of pussies. You're ruining the legacy of me and all those great journalists who tried to get to the truth. Shame on you. Go into PR. That's where you belong.
Angelo, tell folks how they can find still your fabulous work. And by the way, Energy's still killing it, man. I mean, you're a legend, dude. You're totally my idol here, man. I got to tell you. I mean, tell folks where they can find you.
Yeah, AngeloCataldi.com. I write every week. I write on the blog. I'm writing the truth. I don't know who's reading it, but I'll tell you this: we had a big event in Ocean City over the weekend, and we got a great turnout. There, you know, there's still a few people left that really want the truth. Not as many, but a few. I'm a dinosaur, and you now are our man, Dan. You're it.
Thank you, Angelo. Thank you.
If you keel over, all hope is lost. Don't keel over.
Wait a minute. 5 wins still?
Oh, 5. Yeah. I'm starting to wonder if that's too optimistic.
Oh, Angelo,
I'm sorry. I want him to win, but this is nuts. It's crazy.
Tell your wife hello. Thank you. Thank you
hey,
so
Bob
much.
Lynn, call me at home. I'd love talking with you.
Thank you. Oh, okay, you've got it. I love you, Angelo. Thank you, my
Call
friend.
me at home, Bob. I'll tell you to your face what I think of the way you guys are running things. Right to your face, I'll tell you.
Thank you, Angie.
See you later, buddy.
That's my friend Angelo Cataldi, man. Absolutely. Hey, where are we in the likes? I doubt we added any.